Well, back at Jim's Park, huge game today. Big word in the programme this afternoon from Eddie Howe is opportunity. That is the word he's using today in his programme notes. He sees this as a chance for Newcastle United to really get back in touch with those Champions League places. And really, if you're asking me, it feels like it's a second chance for Newcastle, given they lost here to Bournemouth, they lost here at Fulham. Well, Bournemouth lost yesterday, and now the gap can be closed on that top five. Real chance this season to get in the Champions League. Looks like there's going to be 5 places available in that Champions League next season. And for me, I think really Newcastle United, you know, if they don't get Champions League this season, you're going to look back and you're going to say, you had an opportunity. We had an opportunity to make it into those places. And realistically, for Newcastle today, this one, you know, call it what you want, defining moment of the season, 6-point crunch game. You can throw in loads of different narratives to it, but really Newcastle United need the 3 points today. If they can get them against Nottingham Forest, they're going to be right back in there. They'll close the gap on Forest. Forest, on the other hand, they'll be looking at it as an opportunity to pull away from Newcastle, and that, you know, is something that you wouldn't have thought going back to the start of the season. Newcastle beat Nottingham Forest at the City Ground. They also knocked them out the Carabao Cup. Can Newcastle make it a hat-trick here today? We'll have to wait and see. But look, Newcastle, they have a chance to get over that little stutter they had, losing those 2 home games. Forget the Carabao Cup final today. It's all about 3 points against a very good Nottingham Forest side. So Newcastle United take a thriller here, 4-3. A really entertaining game for the neutral, I'm sure, but for Newcastle United fans, that was nervy at times. Even though Newcastle United were 4-1 up going in at half-time here, the second half was a very, very big struggle in some ways. Nottingham Forest responding to a crazy first half. I mean, where do you even start with that? Newcastle going 1-0 down after Hudson-Odoi's strike at the Leeds' end, a Jacob Murphy mistake. But Newcastle, they got over that sort of rough start to the game. They got back into it at 1-1 with Lewis Miley striking. He took the game by the scruff of the neck, the youngster, making it 1-1. Jacob Murphy nudged Newcastle in from close range, 2-1 up, and at that point you were just happy that Newcastle had showed some level of response. But the goals kept coming. Newcastle got a penalty, Isak stepped up, put it through the middle, just beat Matt Sells for 3-1, and Isak got another before the break to make it 4-1. Nottingham Forest did set up a very tense finish, it has to be said. Newcastle conceding 2 goals in the second half. You know, Nick Pope back in today, but at the end of the day, for him, he got the opportunity, but whether he'll be completely happy with his performance, letting in 3 goals, that's one he can only answer. But look, at the end of the day, Newcastle have won here 4-3. They're back in the top 5. They're back in with a shout of Champions League. And really, you know, with 12 games left, that place, if they get it right at home, their home form, you know, the Champions League place should be theirs to lose. But some big games to come. And breathe, Newcastle United have won 4-3 here today against the Nottingham Forest side, who were in 3rd position. Had Newcastle lost this one, they'd have been 9 points behind Nuno's side, and things would have been looking a little bit bleak. But Newcastle are right back in this Champions League chase now, back into 5th place. A tough afternoon in some ways, but also, I mean, the first half was just a joy to watch. Newcastle United going 4-1 up here today. But look, if we're unpacking this game, I think you've got to look at what the actual final outcome means. It means Newcastle are right back in that Champions League chase, and I suppose the negative is that the way Newcastle ended the game, you know, they were 4-1 up, they were in control, they didn't seal the game off the way you would imagine them to, and they let Nottingham Forest back in with 2 late goals. And really, had Forest got a point in this game, you know, it would have been almost a full-scale inquiry going on. Eddie Howe saying that he didn't enjoy the way the game finished there today. But look, looking back on it, Alexander Isak getting a couple more goals, Jacob Murphy getting on the score sheet, but massively. Lewis Miley getting another Premier League goal, just 18 years old, stepping in instead of Sandro Tonali, and really showing exactly what he could do today. And that is the big plus point. For me, Lewis Hall was fantastic in that first half, having a hand in 4 goals. And had Newcastle went on to win 6, 7, 8, then at that point I would have probably believed you if you'd put that to us. To see it end the way it did, hanging on at 4-3, yeah, well, I suppose some people will say that's just typical Newcastle, the way things sort of unfold here sometimes. But ultimately, Newcastle have won here 4-3. They head to Liverpool on the back of a win. All this talk about Carabao Cup final distraction, that can be put to the side for now. But Newcastle know they've got to keep going here. They're in this fight now for the Champions League. And last season they let it slip away. This season they've got to show that resilience. You've got to get points in the bag before Wembley as well. It doesn't get any tougher going to Liverpool next, but at least Newcastle are going there on a winning note.